CBS2 News starts now.
After years of the capital murder trial of Chad Daybell, today, the 1st of June, after less than 2 full days of deliberation by the jury, Chad Daybell has been sentenced to death by a jury of his peers.
I would note that the rationale for the prison sentences is that these are intertwined with the murder charges for which the death penalty has been imposed.
Altogether, Daybell sentenced to 30 years in prison related to his insurance fraud conviction, as well as the death penalty after being found guilty on all counts earlier this week. Yesterday, the jury the jury filling out a 2-part verdict form that asked them to consider both aggravating and mitigating circumstances. The jury finding every aggravating circumstance true and no mitigating circumstances. That leading to the final result of the death penalty. The court then took a brief recess before returning to consider sentencing for Daybell's insurance fraud conviction, with Judge John Boyce sentencing Daybell to 30 years in prison for those crimes. Daybell was found guilty of murdering his wife, Tammy Daybell, and 2 kids of his then mistress, now wife, JJ Vallow and Tylee Ryan. Lori Vallow Daybell is already serving several life sentences without parole for the murders. Right now, she's awaiting trial in Arizona for the murder of her former husband, Charles Vallow, killed by Cox, and the attempted murder of her niece's then husband, Brandon Boudreau. After the sentencing, the prosecution making a statement and answering questions outside of the Ada County Courthouse.
Almost 5 years ago, the communities of Fremont and Madison County lost 3 wonderful human beings, Tylee Ryan, JJ Vallow, and Tammy Daybell. As a Fremont prosecutor on this case, this has been a hard-fought battle for both the prosecution team and for the law enforcement agencies that worked tirelessly on this case and never gave up hope. This has been a tough case because of its complexity, both in telling the story of an investigation that spanned years and trying to figure out the best way to present it in a way that would make sense to others. As a prosecutor, I try a lot of criminal cases, but for me, as a new mom, the details of this one just hit differently, and I can't imagine the family's pain. I cannot express enough both my and Fremont County's deep appreciation, gratitude, and admiration for all those who played a role in seeking and ultimately obtaining justice for the victims in this case.
The prosecution team thanking the families of the victims for their willingness to cooperate and saying that they're pleased with the outcome of this case and feel justice has been appropriately served.
The search for Tylee and JJ was nonstop. Every stone was unturned through the diligent team efforts of the Rexburg Police Department, Fremont County Sheriff's Office, the Idaho Attorney General investigators, the FBI, Chandler and Gilbert Police Departments. The willingness of so many different law enforcement agencies to work together and pool resources to obtain justice for these victims is unprecedented. Today, justice was served for Tylee, JJ, and Tammy. 3 innocent victims whose lives were tragically cut short by the selfish and cruel actions of Chad and Lori Daybell, who embarked on a path of destruction that irrevocably altered the lives of countless families and countless individuals. While nothing can undo the immense harm caused, we have worked tirelessly to secure a measure of justice for Tylee, JJ, and Tammy. This week, a diligent and attentive Ada County jury carefully considered the evidence and presented and returned a verdict of guilty on all counts. Last year, an Ada County jury did that for Lori Vallow Daybell as well.
Law enforcement involved in the investigation noting the cooperation between agencies throughout the process leading to justice in this case, thanking all involved from federal law enforcement to local prosecutors and law enforcement agencies. Speaking at the press conference, family members of the victims sharing their reactions to the sentencing. JJ Vallow's grandfather, Larry Woodcock, gave this emotional interview.
As we were leaving the courthouse, the courtroom, Kay asked me, she said, "It's over." And I got sad. Justice has been carried out for everybody involved in this. What made me sad are all of y'all. You're our family. We have gone through a tragedy. From the judge who's had to endure this every day, to our friends in law enforcement. We're now brothers. I have so much respect for y'all. For this courthouse, we saw justice, equal, honest, and righteous.
Mr. Woodcock thanked all involved for their hard work, acknowledging the defense team and Chad Daybell's representation for doing, quote, the best they could do. He thanked his wife, his rock, he said, for helping him get through this time of tragedy. In the end, thanking the media for their time throughout the trial, saying, it's time we call it a night. And Kobe Ryan, Tylee Ryan's older brother, also speaking at the press conference about what he describes as his relief and describing his feelings after delivering a victim impact statement yesterday.
But at the end of the day, it's good that he can't hurt anybody else, and that's what matters. So I didn't expect to have the reaction I did. I tried to just read through it, but when you're there and you're sitting there and he's right there, it just brought everything out that I've been feeling. It was really hard to say what I needed to, but a part of me feels a lot more healed, and spending time with everybody here, it feels like a healing I couldn't have imagined, if that makes any sense. But I think this concludes this chapter of this part. We have to live with the fact that we're not going to have the people we love in our lives anymore. But I want to honor them by how I live, and at some point I want to tell their stories and tell you guys who my family was, and honor them the best that I possibly can.
Yesterday, I caught up with our CBS 2 legal expert, Ryan Black of Attorneys of Idaho. He's been giving us insight now into this trial for years. As of recording this interview, sentencing had yet to be completed. Black noting that the sentencing process was moving faster than normal. He gives us context on how the decision to sentence Chad Daybell to death was made and what comes next. We've talked to you a lot, Ryan, over the years that it has been that we've been in the world of Chad Daybell and Lori Vallow. Broad question, did this all go the way you expected?
Up until today, yeah. I mean, you kind of expected this trial to follow the one that happened in Lori's case, right? The way that they presented the evidence as far as trying to prove these counts. However, today was a little bit of a change, right? Because they're actually seeking the death penalty in Chad's case. And so it's going to be a bit of a different spin at this point moving forward.
Right. And so as we were, as you pointed out, we were naturally looking for through lines from Lori Vallow's case to Chad Daybell's case. In the end, kind of looking back on the trial after yesterday's verdict, were there any surprises in the way that Chad Daybell's case proceeded that was a very big difference in how Lori Vallow's case?
I'd say that if you look at the way that the cases were defended, I think that's the big difference here. You had Lori's case, she had a death penalty certified team, and you could tell that their real thrust of their defense kind of seemed to be to try and get the death penalty off the table. And in that just moment right before the trial started and the judge took that off the table, it kind of flatlined the whole plan. Right? Everything was already won from their perspective of trying to make sure she didn't get sentenced to death. Whereas you see on this end, we have a case that's being defended by somebody who's trying to win as far as trying to beat the actual allegations, right? Trying to say he was not guilty and give an alternative approach to who could have done these things. And so I think that's the big change I've seen in the kind of, not necessarily surprise, but the big difference I've seen in the two ways that the trials played out. And as you can see in this most recent one, Pryor doesn't really have that mitigation side, even though that's where we're at in the proceedings today.
Can you walk me through a little bit about what made today unique and unexpected?
Yeah. So yesterday the verdict came down, right? Guilty on all counts. And so today we start the sentencing phase. The judge asked them a series of questions about these aggravating factors. Those aggravating factors have already been listed for the jury this morning, and they were as simple as, did he commit more than one murder at a time? Right? And the judge says that we're starting over at this point. The evidence that you've seen before you can consider, but The state needs to come before you and convince you of this aggravating factor. The defense has the opportunity to present what's called mitigation, which is basically why, even if this aggravating factor did happen, why shouldn't we kill this man? And so that's kind of what the second part of this trial is all about now. State has to prove an aggravating factor, and then defense has an opportunity to fight back and say, okay, even if that's true, here's some reasons why Chad doesn't deserve the death penalty.
So regardless of the decision that either gets made today or later on, you know, in the near future, what happens after that?
Yeah, so the appeals process specifically, especially in a capital case like this, the rules kind of that you have to exhaust all the possibilities. Mm-hmm. And so John Pryor was hired as a private attorney, and so going forward, Daybell could hire another private attorney as a appellate attorney. Idaho's kind of a strange state. I think only one or two other states do it this way, but once there's a conviction at the district level, it goes straight to the Supreme Court, and then the Supreme Court decides if they want to keep the case or hand it off to the Court of Appeals.
And Idaho Attorney General Raul Labrador reacting to the sentencing saying, quote, "I am thankful for the incredibly diligent work of the prosecutors and investigators in this complex case, and I am grateful for the partnerships we have in place to support the pursuit of justice. I hope the conviction of Chad Daybell and the jury's sentence provides a measure of peace to the families of the victims, Tylee Ryan, JJ Vallow, and Tammy Daybell."